After the end of World War II, many countries aspired to establish their own national automotive industry, and Turkey was no exception. However, for a long time, these efforts did not yield any results until one of the most prominent Turkish businessmen of the 20th century, Vehbi Koc, took on the challenge. From a small grocery store to partnerships with Ford and Fiat, Koc played a pivotal role in shaping Turkey's automotive sector. The official birth date of the first Turkish car is considered to be October 29, 1961, when President Cemal Gürsel arrived at the Republic Day celebrations in a car named Devrim, Revolution. This car was developed and manufactured in record time to demonstrate to the world that Turkey was not just an agrarian country but also capable of creating its own automotive industry. 6 months prior to this event, President Gürsel had declared that Turkey would not earn global respect if it continued to rely solely on agriculture, despite having the potential to develop other industries, such as automotive manufacturing. Although Turkey had been a republic since 1923, with an elected president at its helm, the Turkish people treated presidential decrees much like they had treated the wishes of the Ottoman sultans. If the president said that a car needed to be made, his wish was not up for discussion, it was to be carried out. This was especially true for a president like Gürsel, a stern, career military officer who had come to power through a coup. This is why Turkish engineers did not delay the development of the car and set a world record by designing not only the Devrim sedan but also a 2-liter engine from scratch in just 130 days. However, the car never went into mass production because its production cost exceeded the price of foreign cars sold in Turkey. Moreover, President Gürsel, having achieved the desired media effect at the 1961 Republic Day celebrations, quickly lost interest in the project. Only 4 Devrim sedans were produced, and only one has survived to this day. The task of creating Turkey's first mass-produced car eventually fell to the prominent businessman Vehbi Koc. It must be acknowledged that only he had the capability to undertake such a project. Koc's career began in 1917 when he started working in his father's grocery store, which he later took over entirely. While some of his peers were content with running a small business, Koc had greater ambitions. Ankara, after World War I, was a backwater with little promise, but everything changed when it was declared the capital of the newly formed Turkish Republic. The city underwent rapid development, and Koc demonstrated his business acumen by securing a contract to renovate the parliament building. This not only earned him money but also valuable connections. By 1926, he had registered an industrial holding, and 2 years later, he began selling Ford cars in Turkey, also offering Standard Oil's fuel and lubricants. After World War II, already a wealthy man, Koc traveled to the United States, where he negotiated with General Electric to build a light bulb factory in Turkey. Around the same time, he established a partnership with Fiat, starting the licensed production of Italian tractors. In 1959, he further strengthened his partnership with Ford by founding the Otosan Automotive Assembly joint venture, which still exists today and produces Ford Puma crossovers, transit vans, and cargo and F-Max trucks. Over the years, Vehbi Koc became an increasingly prominent and influential figure in Turkey's business community. His industrial and financial empire spanned almost everything that brought good profits, from construction materials to household appliances and automobiles. The first Turkish car in 1959, alongside the establishment of Otosan Automobile, Koc began considering the production of Turkey's first mass-produced passenger car. Having spent his life collaborating with American and European companies, he understood that their assistance was essential. As the Devrim sedan had shown, Turkish engineers were capable of designing a car, but the challenge was to create a competitive vehicle with consumer appeal and an affordable price. This is why, In the early 1960s, KOC turned to the British firm Reliant, which had a project for a car called the FW5. Reliant had no plans to produce this model for the UK market but was willing to sell it to an external buyer, Vehbi Koc. In the mid-1960s, Reliant was a global leader in the production of fiberglass components, a material considered promising at the time. The British company manufactured not only car body panels but also boat hulls and even furniture. They shared their technology with the Turks, and KOC also secured agreements with Ford for the supply of engines and transmissions. With these arrangements in place, nothing stood in the way of mass production. The name for the car was chosen through a public contest, and out of more than 100,000 suggestions, the name Anadol was selected, a derivative of Anadolu, meaning Anatolia. Thus, the Anadol A1 became Turkey's first mass-produced car, rolling off the assembly line at the Otosan plant in Istanbul on December 19, 1966. Fiberglass body and modernization. What was Turkey's first truly mass-produced car like? It was a rear-wheel drive, chassis-based vehicle with a fiberglass body, which allowed for faster and cheaper production since expensive body stamping tools were not required. Thanks to the partnership with Ford, the Anadol A1 was equipped with a 1.2-liter, 49 horsepower, 4-cylinder gasoline engine, the same used in the European Ford Cortina. The 4-speed manual transmission was also borrowed from the American automaker. The first model to hit the production line was a two-door coupe, weighing just 828 kilograms, capable of reaching 121 kilometers per hour, and priced at 26,800 Turkish lira, $2,980. For comparison, the Ford Consul, produced by Otosan, cost almost half as much. While the Anadol A1 relied heavily on foreign components and could only be considered a Turkish car in name, Vehbi Koc continuously sought to increase the share of locally produced parts. As a result, the Anadol underwent modernization almost every year. In October 1968, the car received a more powerful 1.3-liter Ford engine, 54 horsepower, and an updated interior. Further exterior updates followed in 1969 and 1970. A sedan, station wagon, and pickup truck were also introduced, with the Anadol P1 pickup becoming a highly sought-after model, with demand outstripping supply for a long time. Second generation and rally success. Eventually, the volume of changes and upgrades became so significant that in 1970, the production of the Anadol A2 was announced. This model remained in production until 1981. The car received a noticeable exterior update, including new bumpers, a hood, a grille, and headlights. Some models even featured vinyl-covered roofs, marketed as luxury versions. However, even the updated Anadol A2 was rapidly becoming outdated, as it was still based on a design from the early 1960s, with rear-wheel drive, a chassis-based body, and a leaf-spring rear suspension. In 1968, Vehbi Koc founded TOFAS, which began licensed production of the technically more advanced Fiat 124, sold as the Murat 124 in Turkey. This car quickly became a people's car in Turkey, much like the Vaz 2101 in the USSR. It is worth noting that the Anadol not only entered history as Turkey's first mass-produced car but also as the first Turkish car to win a rally. This happened in 1968 at the Rally of Thrace, where a Turkish team won in a specially prepared Anadol A1. The end of the Anadol brand. By 1981, the Anadol A2 had become completely obsolete, and its production was discontinued. In the mid-1970s, more modern models were developed, such as the Anadol STC-16 Sports Coupe, the Anadol SV-1600 Station Wagon, the Anadol Bochek Beach Car, and in the 1980s, the new Anadol A8-16 Sedan. Although these models did not achieve the same success as the Anadol A1/A2, they allowed the Turkish company to survive until the early 1990s. In 1991, the Anadol brand was discontinued, having lost the market battle to foreign cars localized in Turkey. Additionally, Vehbi Koc, Vehbi's son and the new head of the holding, sought to avoid internal competition, as Anadol cars were competing with the licensed Fiat 131 produced by Tofaş, which also belonged to the family holding. Turkish car buyers increasingly favored Ford, Fiat, and Renault products, and even patriotism could not persuade them to support Anadol. However, it is worth noting that the Anadol P1/P2 pickup remained in production from 1971 to 1991, selling 36,892 units over the decades. As for the first Anadol models, more than 55,000 Anadol A1 and A2 units were produced between 1966 and 1981. Erdoğan, the successor to Gürsel's legacy. The disappearance of the Anadol brand did not mark the end of Turkey's national car story, it was more of a repetition. In 2017, under the leadership of another Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, the company TOGG was established with ambitious goals to develop and produce electric vehicles that could compete with global counterparts. With Erdoğan's support, the Turks saw the project through, and in the fall of 2022, the TOGG T10X electric crossover was unveiled. It was planned for sale not only in Turkey but also in the European Union, something the Anadol A1, despite its European roots, could never have dreamed of. However, the Anadol A1 fulfilled its primary mission. With its production, Turkey joined the global club of car-producing nations and became the first country in the world to mass-produce a four-door sedan and station wagon with a fiberglass body. As for Vehbi Koc, he retired in 1984, leaving behind a legacy as one of the most successful businessmen in Turkish history. He not only built one of Turkey's most successful business empires but also realized the dream of many Turkish car enthusiasts by providing affordable, mass-produced cars bearing the Made in Turkey label.